I used to spend a lot of time talking about, here's what baby boomers think, and here's what Xers think, and here's what Generation Y millennials think. And really what's happened is, Generation Z, which goes from 8 to 26 years old, has become what I call the benchmark generation. If you understand what makes them tick and how they make decisions, if you can adapt to them, it works for every older generation, because the things that Gen Z hold as non-negotiables and the things that they want in everything from education to workforce and how we connect all of these dots actually works for everybody else.
These guys get a bad rap, right?
The youngest generations are always considered to be, a little bit off, lazy, entitled, and all these negative terms we associate with young people in the world today. And I go completely the other way. I think the most extraordinary generations to come down the pike. I think they are the most intelligent, resourceful, pit bull-like generations that we have ever seen in this country. When they see a want to in their life, something they truly want, they'll move heaven and earth to get to that want to. Our challenge as parents, educators, employers is getting them to want something. Because once they want something, they're not viewed as lazy and entitled and all of these other negative terms we like to shower on them. Part of where we are today and where we're at a tipping point with young people in America today is Generation Z, 8 to 26 years old, is the first generation in history that requires a human connection to move forward. The human connection is the thing that has been most at risk over the last 4 years, with everything from the COVID learning slide to the pandemic and all the things, the educational scarring that has taken place. And so what's happening is we are lacking both in education and in workforce the human connection necessary for them to move forward. And not understanding how that dynamic is playing out in your organization creates a revolving door in many organizations today, because they are looking for, robust learning and development. They're looking for diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're looking for the pride of their contribution to add to a greater good. They're looking for a lot of components today that are good components and things to look toward, but organizations are continuing to do what they've always done, and that approach isn't working for younger generations. And that by 2030, millennials, Generation Y, and Gen Z are going to be 75% of the workforce. That's just 7 years away. So if you need to adapt today to where they are going in the future, because they are the future.
The question is, especially for young people, they don't necessarily want to live in the rural parts of America.
I think the key for most small rural communities, and I work with a lot of rural communities around the country, is simply understanding that there are several things that exist for young people today. And the first is a skills gap where, yes, there's millions of people who are unemployed in America, but there are millions of jobs that are open. The people who are unemployed can't do the jobs that are open, and it's created this skills gap over the last 20 years that is really kind of stifling our economy. But I don't believe that there's a skills gap as much as I believe there's an awareness gap. There's a tremendous awareness gap, especially in rural communities where young people don't know all of the extraordinary ways to be successful in their community. The kinds of jobs and opportunities and entrepreneurship and things that they can do, and organizations that are there. Everything from, manufacturing to agriculture to, hospitality and tourism. And you certainly are in an area where there's a lot of hospitality and tourism. But understanding where they can leverage, a tremendous competitive advantage they can build and then thrive in your community. I tell audiences across North America, there's 3 critical components in a competitive advantage. There's robust academic knowledge, which seems pretty obvious, right? Our educational system seems like it's built on delivering robust academic knowledge. There was a time where people would think, the more robust academic knowledge you had, the more money you would make, right? We remember the stair steps, right? If you had this much education, you made this much, you made this much, you made this. Here's where the world's different. So now you have to add 2 critical things. You have to add technical competencies, right? Those are the things that you can do in your head and in your hands, right? So whether you want to be a surgeon or an accountant, whether you want to be a programmer or a chef, whether you want to be in auto technology or biotechnology, you need the technical abilities to do it. And then the third is professional skills. Professional skills are things like work ethic, punctuality, leadership, communication, work-life balance, stress management, critical thinking, problem solving, emotional intelligence. Most people in America call these things soft skills. About a decade ago, I changed the term to professional skills because I think soft skills makes it sound like they're unimportant, when I think they're the darn near most important things we can give our kids. So I mean, so there's lots of wonderful ways to be successful in America. Young people just need to recognize what all of them are. But that means a community has to come together and make sure that we're extolling the value and the benefits of our county and our community.